Okay, doke. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for tuning in to this presentation. My name is Joxon Bell. As you can see on the screen there, I'm the Missing Persons Operational Coordinator for Edinburgh. I'm here to talk to you today about the Herbert Protocol. Clearly, everyone who's tuning into this will have some involvement with people who are living with dementia. And this is a protocol, as you will discover in the next 20 minutes or so, which has been designed to help keep people safe in situations where somebody who is living with dementia is reported missing to the police. Before we start, I'll explain a little bit more about my role. Every division in Police Scotland has an operational missing persons coordinator. There are 13 divisions within Police Scotland. And our job, all 13 of us, is to maintain an overview of missing persons demand across the country, and to work with partner agencies to try and reduce the demand and reduce some of the risks associated with that demand. And we'll talk a little bit more about the level of demand that we face when it comes to missing persons incidents as we go through the presentation. So the Herbert Protocol. I will start by saying that, as you can see there, it's a nationally recognised scheme, fully supported and endorsed by Police Scotland. It's named after a guy called George Herbert, as you can see there, who was a veteran of the Normandy landings, who lived with dementia as he grew older. George was reported missing in and around 2011 by Norfolk Police. However, sadly, he couldn't be traced quickly enough and died whilst missing. In fact, he was trying to find his childhood home. So in the review that then followed this tragic set of circumstances, Norfolk felt it was important that they tried to look at ways of trying to improve how they responded to these types of incidents. So they developed what is now called the Herbert Protocol. It's been rolled out right across forces down south, and indeed a few years ago was launched in 2 or 3 divisions here within Police Scotland, including Edinburgh, and has since been launched throughout all 13 divisions right across Scotland. So it is being used, and we're heavily trying to promote it across the country so that as many people get to know about it as possible and can put it in place where necessary. So essentially, in its simple sense, it's an information gathering form. It records vital information about where a person grew up, their favorite places and haunts, where they like to go, any kind of hobbies, current or former hobbies, GP contact details, medication, daily routines, just anything that we would need to know as a responding agency, as the police, to hit the ground running with a police inquiry. Essentially, it allows us to build to build a rich picture of that individual, so that we can, as I say, get going quickly with any inquiry. The idea being that it's completed by families or carers and then handed to police in the event that someone needs to be reported missing. So it's kept and owned by families and carers, kept in a safe place. As I say, it helps us to access important information quickly, avoids any unnecessary delays in gathering information at a time of crisis. We know that when we go to the scene to take those initial details from family or carers, that they can be very distressed at the time, and it can take quite a long time to gather that initial vital information that allows us to get going. So yeah, it's extremely important. We have a thing in missing persons investigations called the golden hour, where if we don't get somebody traced safe and well within that first hour, the search parameters increase hugely. And so it's absolutely important that we avoid any delays at the beginning of any inquiry. So having that rich picture of information quickly handed to us allows us to get going with any searches, direct other officers that might be attending the scene, and hopefully trace someone safe and well as quickly as we possibly can. Here's an example of a couple of pages of the few pages of the form. As you can see there, hopefully we've made this as user-friendly as possible. We used examples from different parts of the country to try and create the best form possible. As you can see, there's a little bit of detail there about what it's for, why we're doing it. Space there for basic stuff, person's name, general details, space for photograph, which is really, really important that we get a photograph quickly so we can use that for any kind of media appeals, or even just to circulate to officers attending the scene. Moving on to kind of general description and, access to mobile phone and money and previous addresses, previous employment, really important stuff there. Places of interest and places of significance, also really important. Moving on, we've got further detail there about family and friends and contacts, and a really important section there about weekly habits and routines. So, Monday to Sunday, morning, afternoon, evening, telling us where someone goes during various different parts of the day and days of the week. So, for example, if someone is reported missing in this particular case on a Thursday morning, we would then know that they attend the local Alzheimer's cafe in the afternoon, and that would help direct search. And it goes on there to talk about medical information, any medication some person is on, and indeed the impact of them not taking their medication. That's quite important as well. And things in the what matters to me section about, how to maybe approach someone if we find them, what helps to reduce stress, distress, and that kind of thing. That's also quite important. And because when we do find somebody, they can be obviously quite confused and distressed. So it's just about making sure we approach them properly and with an element of knowledge about what will ease their distress. So who is it for? Well, it's for anyone who has a dementia diagnosis and maybe at risk of going missing, which for me pretty much means everybody, unless somebody is immobile and not able to get about, bedbound perhaps, then it really does apply to anyone, because there's always a first time, and there will always be a situation where people say, well, I never thought they would go missing, but there's always a first time for everything. So really, we're looking to try and get a Herbert Protocol form completed for more or less everyone with a dementia diagnosis. Why use it? Well, it's probably hopefully obvious by this point that we know that people living with dementia often have a loss of short-term memory, and experience tells us that they can recall memories from many decades earlier. I mean, quite a few of the incidents that we deal with on a weekly basis do involve detail given to us that the person is going to be going to find somewhere that's of historical significance to them. And so that's why people are attempting to make their way to, a previous address or somewhere of a previous, a school from many years before. So having a Herbert Protocol form completed and handed to police at the time of a report does enhance our ability to respond to the incident quickly. And as I said, that's really, really important. It also offers a certain level of support to families and carers, because it gives them a bit of reassurance that that they are somehow in some way prepared for this type of incident should it happen. Also allows people who are living in maybe care settings in a care home for staff and support and workers and people who are supporting them to get to know the person, which also is really, really important. So if someone comes into a care home setting who's been living in isolation with no family or whatever, then the form allows the carers to sit down and get to know the individual. And it can be completed at point of diagnosis or any part of that post-diagnostic support and advanced planning that goes on after the point of diagnosis. So we would encourage people to get a form completed as soon as possible after point of diagnosis. And for all those people in our communities that already have and who already are living with dementia and have been for many years, it's about engaging with families and promoting the use and completion of the form. So let's have a look at the population context to get a little bit of a flavour for the scale of what we're dealing with here. In Scotland, it's estimated that 90,000 people are living with dementia, including 3,000 under the age of 65. And that's quite important because generally speaking, that early onset dementia will affect a population of people who are very active, potentially still able to get out and about very easily. So 90,000 is a huge number of people. If we look at the Edinburgh picture, and of course I'm the Edinburgh Missing Persons Coordinator, the Edinburgh picture it'll be similar with other larger towns and cities, but we've got over 8,500 people right now in Edinburgh who are living with dementia. Again, with a number of those under the age of 65. And what we do know is that these numbers are expected to increase quite dramatically, in actual fact, over the next 10 years. As you can see there, in 2033, that's going to go up to nearly 11,000 people in Edinburgh. And by 2043, that'll be just shy of 13,500 people living with dementias. Now, That's significant. These rises in numbers are significant because it means that it's likely then that we're going to be seeing increased demand in terms of our missing persons episodes. So making sure that we're as prepared as we possibly can be when it comes to dealing with this very high risk area of business is really important. Numbers are going up because people are living longer and increased kind of levels of diagnosis. And so, yeah, as I say, we need to be prepared for that. Okay. Let's look at the local picture here in Edinburgh, just to give people a general sense of where we are here in the city. And this again will be similar to other larger populations, larger cities, and also, I guess, there will be demand right across the rural landscape as well. But in Edinburgh, certainly, we deal with around 3,000 missing persons incidents reported to us each year, which is absolutely huge. We're talking about, close to double figures on a daily basis. Now that's the whole range of missing persons demand, right from all ages, all locations. Of those 3,000, we generally get about 100 to 120 incidents per year that relate to people reported missing with dementia. So that's not a huge proportion. It's about 3.5% or thereabouts. But as I said, the risk factors are extremely high. We know that the split between male and female is 60% male, 40% female. We know that the average age of the person who's reported missing with dementia will be 79. 3/4 of those reported missing with dementia will be reported from their home address, so reported by a husband, wife, son, daughter, and so on. We have some of those individuals, from the home address will be reported missing by a home help service, because we do have people, of course, living without family who are reported missing, who are getting, 2-3 times a day care. So sometimes that will be the source of our missing persons report. 7% of those 110 will be reported missing from a care home, and 18% reported missing from a hospital environment here in Edinburgh. Like as I said, a high intensity resource is put into each incident due to the level of risk. We grade all our cases as either low, medium, or high risk, and almost exclusively someone reported missing to us who's living with dementia will be automatically graded as high risk. So that means we're throwing everything at this. If someone's missing for more than just maybe an hour or two, or certainly if it goes into multiple hours, then we'll be looking to see if we can get the police helicopter involved in the search if it's appropriate, which it usually will be. And we'll be asking every available resource to attend to the scene in the vicinity to assist with search. So it's we take these cases in particular extremely seriously because of that, because they're graded high risk. All high risk cases are dealt with very seriously. The good news is that the average time that someone is reported missing in general, in Edinburgh at least, is around 7-8 hours. But 99% of people who are reported missing who are living with dementia are located in less than 3 hours from the time they're reported to us. So that's really good. A completed Herbert Protocol will only help reduce this further. So really important. We are, I would go as far as to say that we're dealing with a life and death type situation here, often with these cases. Very vulnerable section of society who will often have additional health needs, will at times be going out not dressed properly for the weather, late at night, will find themselves completely lost, confused, and it's vital that we get going quickly. So Herbert Protocol will assist in that it gives us that rich picture, gives us all that information to allow us to get going quickly. So how is the information stored? Well, completed Herbert Protocol forms are owned and held by family and relatives to share as and when needed. They can be electronically stored somewhere or printed out, kept in a place that's easy to retrieve in the house. Care homes can choose to add them to care plans. And it's important that also if a care home has somebody coming in to care from the home address, if they have a Herbert Protocol, make sure you ask that it comes with them, and then take ownership of that, keep it up to date. Similarly, if someone has a spell of time in hospital, has to be admitted to hospital, the hospital staff are aware of the Herbert Protocol and ask if there is one, And if there isn't one, encourage family to have one completed and handed to staff, just in case that person absconds from hospital, which, as we know, can happen. 7% of people do. There's no central database for this. The idea being that we don't want multiple copies of the Herbert Protocol in existence, because then, one can be out of date, and it can actually potentially confuse the matter. Plus, there's data protection issues around for this as well. So we really want this information to be held and owned and updated by families and carers. There's also, for people who are living in isolation at home, perhaps getting home help care, the Herbert Protocol form can be completed and kept in a tube and put in the fridge. And I think we've got a facility where we can provide people with stickers and tubes to have on the fridge, so that if police officers are having to force entry to the property after the report comes in, we'll know where to get the Herbert Protocol, because there'll be a sticker on the fridge. We can also add what we call markers to people's addresses as well, where we can, advise officers who are attending a particular call that the Herbert Protocol is in existence, and we often do that. So reported missing. So what to do? Fairly straightforward. We'd encourage people always to phone 101 as quickly as possible. No need to delay the report, particularly in these types of cases. No need to wait 24 hours, 12 hours, none of that. It's like straight away. If someone you're caring for is missing, call 101. If you're not getting through and it's taking ages and you're on hold, please dial 999. I would say that these would be deemed to be urgent cases. We would then generate an incident and send police officers to the scene to take initial details from what we would call the informant, which is essentially the person who's made the call. We would take a statement. We would conduct initial search and direct others to the scene to do likewise. And hopefully we would get a Herbert Protocol. If one's already in place, then fantastic. It would allow us to get going more quickly with the inquiry. Afterwards, when someone is traced safe and well, we would conduct a safe and well check, and then we would establish if the person is in need of any medical assistance, take care of all of that, and then return the individual to the place from which they went missing. We would then submit a report outlining the circumstances and submit that to Social Care Direct, and that would be shared as appropriate with perhaps an allocated social worker or lead professional involved with the case. What we also do, crucially, is, and this happens across the board for all our missing persons incidents, is we always have to offer a return discussion. Now, historically, police officers have conducted that return discussion. However, we acknowledge that we're not always the best place agency to do that. So in cases relating to persons missing with dementia, we have teamed up with Alzheimer's Scotland. So the report that I said gets sent to Social Care Direct, a copy of that report also gets shared now with Alzheimer's Scotland. This is just for Edinburgh cases at the moment. There's we're looking at rolling this out across Scotland, but at the moment it's just for Edinburgh. And the beauty of this is that Alzheimer's Scotland will then pick up the inquiry from there and offer that return discussion, contact the family, and provide the family with a whole load more specialist advice, that all the kinds of things in terms of support, expert advice and signposting that they are trained and really brilliant at. So it's a brilliant collaboration. Really, really pleased with how that's going so far here in Edinburgh, at least. And I think families are finding that extremely supportive. And my hope is that it gets rolled out to as many divisions as possible right across the whole country, because this is absolutely the way to go. So we'll have the Herbert Protocol at the beginning of the inquiry. We'll have a high-risk missing persons incident where we throw everything at it during the investigation, and then afterwards we share information with Social Care Direct, which we do for anybody we come in contact with where there's a vulnerability, and also we share with Alzheimer's Scotland to do that vital return discussion. So the return discussion essentially is asking that person or the family and carers, what caused the incident? Where did they go? Did they come to harm? What can we do to prevent further incidents? Perhaps providing support and advice around tracking devices and other ways of keeping that individual safe should there be a future inquiry. So really, really good, as I say, partnership with Alzheimer's Scotland. So anyone listening to this and tuning in today, what we're asking you guys to do is to spread the word. That's the big ask today. We deliver presentations on a monthly basis, which people can tune into, or indeed, now we're doing one which you're listening to here, hopefully. Spread the word, please. This may apply to your personal life or your professional lives, those that you're working, organizations that you work with who are involved in dementia care, either at the time of diagnosis or the post-diagnostic care phase, to tell people, as many people as you possibly can, build it into everyday working practices and processes, staff training, inductions, if it's appropriate, tell your friends and family. We really want Herbert Protocol to become a kind of, something that is immediately thought about when someone is diagnosed with dementia, and so that it can be completed and kept safe and kept up to date. It could genuinely save a life, in my opinion. I'd also like to talk to you a little bit about Purple Alert, again, an app which has been developed by our friends at Alzheimer's Scotland. This is really, really good. Essentially, it's free to anyone. You can just download a version of the app or a copy of the app onto your smartphone. And then if you are living with, caring for somebody who's living with dementia, you can create a profile of that individual on the app. And then if that person finds himself missing or needs to be reported missing to the police, you can also then push out a Purple Alert, an alert which goes out to the Purple Alert community in that local area and provides extra eyes and ears on the ground to help with search and looking for that individual, because you'll get a little notification on your phone that somebody living with dementia has been reported missing. So that's an excellent resource, and I would encourage you all to consider signposting people to that as well and downloading it onto your own phone. More information there at Purple Alert at the alzheimersscotland.org website. Okay, so as regards to Herbert Protocol, here's a page with further information. You can get a copy of the form by going to the Police Scotland website, and in the search bar, just type in Herbert Protocol, and that'll take you to a copy of the form which you can print out or download. There's also a link there to a YouTube video which you can look. It's just a couple of minutes. Again, it's just giving you a potted version of this about what the Herbert Protocol aims to achieve. And there's some lived experience YouTube information there from a lady who actually has had good experience with the Herbert Protocol. She implemented it and got it filled out for her mother. And there's Herbert Protocol Communications Toolkit, and there's links there that might help you in your professional lives as well, and information there about Alzheimer's Scotland and the Purple Alert. Finally, you'll see logos along the bottom there. This, of course, cannot be done in isolation. The police haven't done this themselves. Of course, we've done this as a collaborative effort with a number of different agencies such as Scottish Care, Alzheimer's Scotland, and the Edinburgh Health and Social Care Partnership. Key contacts, I would say, are myself, and that's my details there, and my email address, telephone number, and also Karen Tom, who's, as you can see, the Strategic Planning Commissioning Officer for older people here in Edinburgh at the Health and Social Care Partnership. We are both more than happy to receive an email or phone call if you're looking for further information. Alternatively, if you're listening in from other parts of the country, you will have a missing persons operational coordinator locally to your area, and you can find out who that is by contacting your local police. So that's pretty much it from me. I just want to finish by saying thank you very much for listening today, and yeah, have a good day. Thank you.